Wren Baker is a man of the people. He has listened to the fans and he's giving them what they need and what they want. And he's also making us chuckle a little bit. And all of this is surrounding the West Virginia Mountaineers hosting the Super Regional in baseball coming up this weekend. We're going to provide some updates on that here in this episode of Couz Corner, brought to you by America's #1 sports picks app, Prize Picks. And in this jam-packed show, we're also going to talk some WVU football, some massive, massive free PR that West Virginia got today on the Pat McAfee show. And then lastly, but not least, we're going to talk about two West Virginia Mountaineers, or former West Virginia Mountaineers, who are nominated and on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame class of 2027. We're talking about all that, and we're going to do it right now. Wren Baker, he has done it again. Two updates posted on the West Virginia Baseball X account or social media accounts that I'm going to share with you right now. The first one, we've all seen the videos when we're watching the games, or we've seen the videos on social media of the fans sitting up on that hill outside of the stadium, above the stadium. Those are free seats. Fans who couldn't get in, couldn't get tickets, have been taking advantage of that hill. They're calling it Randy's Ridge. Perfect name, by the way. Named after Randy Mazie, of course. And fans have been coming and sitting up there watching the game for free. There's no restrooms up there, apparently. Well, Wren Baker's fixing that. Guess what? Here's this announcement from Wren Baker. He says, "I wish we could accommodate everyone inside Kendrick Family Ballpark. But Randy's Ridge has emerged as a great and free alternative for many Mountaineers. We are adding portable restrooms and trash cans in the area. There will be 1,000 free pepperoni rolls. Who knows? At Coach Randy Mazie himself might make an appearance. Be safe, have fun, and as always, let's go Mountaineers." So Wren Baker is putting portable restrooms and trash cans on Randy's Ridge. Now, some of that could be to help out fans, and I think it is, but some of it could also be to help out maintenance folks who probably had to clean up a lot of trash. So they're accommodating both. And the 1,000 free pepperoni rolls, that's pretty freaking amazing, don't you think? They're actually feeding the fans on Randy's Ridge. Unbelievable. Wren Baker does it again. Great idea by Wren Baker, in my opinion. But that is not the only post Wren Baker made. Now, this one is less serious, but still, I think, shows Wren and his connection to the fans and the fact that he gets it. But this is a note he wrote on behalf of West Virginia fans today. And again, this is Thursday, June 4th. I'm recording this. Here's what the letter reads. It says, "To whom it may concern, please excuse," and there's a line for someone's name, "from work on Friday, June 5th. I understand that this absence may reduce productivity in your workplace, but I can assure you it is for an important cause. The number 16 West Virginia baseball team is hosting a super regional in Morgantown for the first time in program history, and we need the full support of Mountaineer Nation behind us. Whether in the stands at Kendrick Family Ballpark, on the hill, or tuning in on ESPN2 with friends, every Mountaineer has a role to play as we continue our pursuit of Omaha. After all, opportunities to cheer on the Mountaineers with a trip to the College World Series on the line do not come around every day. By the way, you should take the day off as well. Let's go Mountaineers." Signed, Wren Baker, Vice President and Director of Athletics, and, of course, his signature. Now, I'm sure most employers are not going to take that seriously, and this is probably somewhat in jest, but heck, who knows? There might be a few diehard, true blue West Virginia Mountaineer fans out there who own businesses who may actually look at this and go, "You know what, by gosh, we're closing down today." Or, "I'm letting my folks have the day off today to go watch." Maybe it'll actually work. I don't know. I can't utilize it, but I'll figure out a way to watch the game, even if I have to record it and watch it later or whatever, or watch it on my phone. I'll figure it out, or listen to it on the Varsity Network app. Listen to Andrew Caridi call it. But nonetheless, I'll figure it out. But will you be able to watch? Will you be able to take it? Are you going to take advantage of this letter that Wren Baker has written up for you? Let me know in the comments section. Again, that's probably done in jest, but I thought it was. I got a chuckle out of it, and I thought it was just awesome, to be honest with you. And it just shows more creativity from WVU Athletic Department, from Wren Baker and his staff. Just an awesome, awesome idea. And just Wren Baker continues to think outside the box, continues to come up with new ideas. And I'm sure it's not just him; it's also his staff. We got to, he's not doing this alone. He has help. So kudos to the staff and Wren for making this stuff happen. The next topic we're going to talk about is this awesome free publicity that the West Virginia Mountaineers received on the Pat McAfee show. And this is something that, money cannot buy publicity like this, PR like this. On the Pat McAfee show today, Thursday, June 4th, about an hour into the show, there was a 3-minute video clip that played, and then Pat later posted that same clip on his X account. Now, I might get dinged for copyright. I don't know if I will or not. I really don't care. I'm going to play it anyway, and I don't do this often. I usually am very careful about that kind of thing. Today, I'm making an exception.
Country roads, mountain mama, always take us back to the place we belong, Morgantown, West Virginia, the place that we have never lost a tailgate and are always looking for a reason to celebrate with 1.8 million of our closest friends. Some of the most memorable events on the field have led to some of the craziest moments off the field. In 1993, West Virginia football stayed undefeated, beating a Miami team featuring none other than the Rocks 17-14 in what turned out to be the second undefeated regular season in the Don Nehlen era. The fans took to the streets and the field. In 2002, WVU fans took the goalpost down on Mountaineer Field after a big win over ranked Virginia Tech. Did I mention the game was in Blacksburg, Virginia? In 2005, Mike Gansey and company took out the highly seeded Wake Forest Demon Deacons and Chris Paul in double overtime in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Days later, WVU beat Texas Tech in High Street with standing room only. Later in the fall that year, Steve Slayton and Pat White introduced themselves to the country, leading an upstart group of freshmen, featuring a certain host of an ESPN show, to a triple overtime comeback win over Louisville. The students made sure to lighten the load on the trash collectors that week by reducing bulk waste in the form of couches by the dozens that night. In 2018, Will Greer led the Ears to victory in Texas. The fan base, hungry for a big win but thirsty for Busch Light, roasted marshmallows on Lazy Boys that night. Baseball success is something new to the base. As a West Virginia native and alum, there's been little reason to celebrate in the 20th century and the first decade of the 21st. All that has changed. In 2012, WVU hired Randy Mazey and has been a thorn in the side of Big 12 programs since. With Mazey retiring and Steve Saban's taking over in 2024, the squad hasn't missed a beat. After consecutive trips to the Super Regionals in 24 and 25, WVU had an opportunity to do it in front of the very fan base that loves them so much. The one that's seen so many tough years, and they didn't disappoint. The win over UK and subsequent arm-in-arm singing of our beloved country roads let America in on a secret we already knew. West Virginia loves its team. West Virginia is the underdog story. Disrespected and mocked, the faithful is undeterred. In sport, the term us against the world is played out, but in our case, it's accurate. WVU doesn't have to have a great reason to throw a party, but it's a hell of a lot cooler when they have one.
Was that not absolutely amazing? I don't know if you can tell through the camera, but I have a little bit of tear in my eye right there. I cannot get enough of listening and watching that video, the country roads portion there at the end. But the whole thing, man, was just fantastic. I mean, you couldn't ask for better PR than that right there, than what Pat did on his show. The largest sports show in America, I would imagine. And Pat featured WVU on it for 3 freaking minutes in that video. And also shout out to Whitey Williams, Justin Whitey Williams, who is a WVU alum as well, former football player, brother of Reed Williams. Great PR by Pat, so thanks to him for airing that on his show. Thanks to Whitey for the narration. The underdog story, man. Nothing truer has ever been said. The celebrations after big wins. You know, I'm sure the couch burning wasn't appreciated by the administration and the city police and whatnot. And by the way, it has been now outlawed and banned in the city of Morgantown, so it doesn't go on anymore. But, man, what a tradition that was. And what fun students in Morgantown like to have. And what PR that is for the school. And to lead up to the super regionals, to have that, you know, fans were claiming for McAfee to come to Morgantown. He's apparently not doing that. I guess he has other things on his schedule. But the second best thing is something like what he just did, and that's promoting them on his show. He's played clips about it. He's talked about the game. And now he's showing this 3-minute promo video, basically, for West Virginia University sports. Pat McAfee is an absolute awesome ambassador for WVU and WVU Athletics. Doesn't get bigger than him in the sports media world. You know, you've got folks like me. You've got other podcasters, YouTubers. Speaking of that, by the way, Whitey is also on a podcast called the Old Grad Podcast. I recommend you go listen to that. There's none bigger and none better than Pat freaking McAfee. And he gets millions of views and everything he does, and he just put West Virginia front and freaking center, man. I got chill bumps. I got teary-eyed watching that, and I love it. And I know a lot of you have probably already seen it, but I still wanted to show this to you just in case you hadn't and react to it. Again, I might get dinged for copyright, either by McAfee or maybe even by the John Denver family. I don't know. Not too concerned about it at this point. They're not going to take my channel down or anything, so I'm not that worried about it. I wanted to show it to you, make sure you saw it. I wanted to react to it because it's absolutely massive for West Virginia to get that kind of publicity, that kind of PR. And, you know, I thought it was, and you know, because Whitey was there when they did do the couch burning, when couch burning was still a thing in Morgantown. And, you know, fans still talk about the couch burning. It's still considered a tradition, even though they don't really do it much anymore. But there are, you know, high school recruits out here doing it in commitment videos. We saw Kevin Brown do it. And there's another recent commit that did it as well, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute in the next segment. Before we do, though, let's take a quick break to give a shout-out to our sponsor. Right now, Prize Picks has a special where you can play $5 and get $50 instantly in lineups by using code HMA at checkout. It's code HMA at checkout, and do so using the link in the top of the description box. Now, lineups is when you pick at least 2 players from any sport and pick less or more on a given stat. My most recent picks were based around the NBA Finals. We know the New York Knicks beat the San Antonio Spurs in Game 1. Game 2 is coming up on Friday night. I think Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs bounce back and win Game 2. And because of that, I'm picking Victor Wembanyama to score more than 27.5 points. And I think Jalen Brunson from the Knicks scores less than 25.5 points, which is the given point total for him. I bought those picks for $10 with a chance to win 30. It's that easy to pick over at Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. And use code HMA to get $50 when you play 5. And be sure, if you do play, though, to please play responsibly. Now, we're going to get back to the show and what you're really here for. And we're going to get to the next topic. And, you know, the couch burning came up in the last video. And that is a great segue into talking about 3 new commitments for West Virginia football in the 2027 class. And this first one, boy, did he commit in true West Virginia fashion by burning a friggin' couch. And I'm going to show you this video just in case you haven't seen it yet. We're going to take a look at it together.
What's up, everybody? I'm here to announce that I'm committing to West Virginia. Go Mountaineers, baby!
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
What's up?
Now, is that not committing in style? This is, by the way, Eric Lawson is this young man's name. He's from Rye Cove High School in Duffield, Virginia, a little small town in the southwestern corner of Virginia, almost at the Tennessee border and even not too far from the Kentucky border. It's kind of right in that section where Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia all kind of connect. He's in that southwestern corner. Very rural area, a lot of similarities to West Virginia. It's coal mining country down there. Duffield's not a big, Rye Cove's not a big school, but this young man balled out there. He's a monster, 6'6", 300 pounds. He's one of the top 100 interior offensive linemen in the country, according to 24/7 Sports. 3-star recruit. Had offers from several Power 4 schools, including a rival of West Virginia, the Virginia Tech Hokies. It actually came down to Virginia Tech and WVU in his commitment. And he ended up choosing West Virginia. And it's my understanding he hasn't even taken an official visit yet to the Mountaineers, but he does have one scheduled soon. But he really has a connection with Rick Trickett. Really liked what he had to hear from the coaching staff, and he's just excited about being there. But here are the other schools that offered him other Power 4 schools were Duke, Syracuse, Louisville, Rutgers, and Wake Forest. So what is that, 7 total, counting Virginia Tech and West Virginia, Power 4 schools that offered Eric Lawson from Rye Cove High School in Duffield, Virginia. He's an all-state player, excels on both defense and offensive line at Rye Cove, but he will be coming to West Virginia to play offensive line. I actually have an article about him and one of the other recruits we're going to talk about over at the site, wvsportschat.com. I recommend you please go check it out. Check out the site and all the other written content we have over there at WV Sports Chat. But that's Eric Lawson. The second commit I want to talk about is a skill position player named Bryian Duncan Jr. And it's Bryan with a Y and with an I. Never seen it like this. Bryian. Just thought that was very unique in the way that his parents chose to spell his name. But it's Bryian Duncan Jr. It's my understanding he's coming to West Virginia to play running back, but he is very versatile. He can catch the football. His last season, or this past season rather, his junior season at Cairo High School in Georgia, he had 736 rushing yards and 767 receiving yards, and he had 19 total touchdowns. So a great season. His sophomore year, he had 1,795 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns on the ground and averaged almost 200 yards rushing a game. That's as a sophomore. At the 3A level in Georgia, which is, I think there are 6 or 7 levels in Georgia high school football, he was at the 3A level. So not the lowest level, but also not the highest level, somewhere in the middle. But this upcoming season, Cairo is apparently moving up to 4A, so he'll be playing even higher level of competition this year. But, man, when you put up numbers like that in high school, you've got some talent. You've got some ability. Now, he's only 5'9", only 160 pounds, but he's going to put weight on. He's only a junior in high school, so he'll put weight on. And I'm not worried about the 5'9" height either, because guess who else was about 5'9"? A guy by the name of Tavon Austin, who, by the way, I'm dropping a little teaser. We're going to talk about him later in the show. But Tavon Austin was only 5'8" or 5'9". Now, I'm not saying this young man's going to be as good as Tavon Austin by any stretch of the imagination. But Tavon Austin proved it. And, Noel Devine was short. He was only, 5'7", 5'8". He's a short guy. And he was an elite running back. So you can, Jaheim White was not very tall. But if Bryian Duncan can put some weight on, get up to about probably that 190, 195 mark, which he probably can, maybe even 185, depending on how his body holds weight. But he'll be able to do that. By the West Virginia coaching staff will give him a regimen to follow, from weightlifting to nutrition. His senior year and also, his freshman year in Morgantown, he'll be able to come in and hit the ground running. But this young man, when you look at the list of schools who offered him, he's another 3-star recruit who had offers from Kentucky, Florida State, Mississippi State, and Pitt. That's right, Pitt. And ironically, Bryian Duncan Jr. committed to West Virginia after taking an official visit over the weekend. The same weekend, West Virginia beat Kentucky in the regionals in baseball. And what makes that so ironic is he had actually already verbally committed to Kentucky. So this is a flip. So West Virginia beats Kentucky in baseball in the regionals. And then that Monday, or it may have been Sunday, whatever day it was, they flip a football recruit from Kentucky who had already been committed for a couple of months. Now, there's a caveat to all these 2027 recruits. They could all change their mind and never even show up on campus. I get that. Things can change. But as of right now, this is a big pickup. I would imagine there's some sort of connection here between Kentucky, Jay Boulware, who was the running back coach at Kentucky last year. Maybe he had already started developing a relationship with this young man. I don't know that for sure. I'm just making that assumption based on the fact that Jay Boulware did come from Kentucky, and that's where he coached last season. But a big pickup on the offensive side of the ball for West Virginia as far as another skill position player. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is one that other channels have probably already talked about, and we have written about this over at the site, but it's defensive lineman Zai'Vion Meads, a 6'3", 280-pound defensive lineman from Louisville, Kentucky. Another three-star recruit, according to 24/7 Sports. He also held offers from Purdue, Nebraska, Missouri, Kentucky, and Baylor. So you've got a couple Big Ten schools, a couple of SEC schools, and another Big 12 school who were recruiting and then offered Zai'Vion Meads. But instead, he chooses to come to West Virginia, play for Zach Alley, William Green, the defensive line coach, Rich Rodriguez, and he chooses to take his talents to Morgantown. Another big pickup. Shows the importance they're putting in on the trenches, getting the lines right, making sure they have good bodies up front on both sides of the ball. And 6'3", 280 pounds, you can imagine he's likely going to put some weight on. But he's already at 280. He's probably already big enough to play at the Power 4 level, just from a pure weight standpoint. You'd like him to get closer to 300, especially if he's going to be an interior lineman. But again, shouldn't have a problem doing that, considering he's still a junior in high school. So 3 big pickups for the Mountaineers: 1 on defense, 2 on offense, and 2 players who will help solidify the trenches for the Mountaineers in 2027. And 3 players we can all be excited about, all 3-star recruits. The next topic we're going to discuss is something I have not heard or seen a whole lot of others talking about in Mountaineer circles, and that is 2 former Mountaineers are appearing on this year's College Football Hall of Fame ballot, which is for the 2027 Hall of Fame class. You've got former player Tavon Austin, the great Tavon Austin. Not really any introduction needed here, right? The human highlight reel. The guy whose highlight video has been seen 24 million times on YouTube. Shout out to the great Duggity Doug over on YouTube. The former first-round draft pick, Tavon Austin, the guy who's the only college football player in history to have 3,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing in their career. We all remember the Oklahoma game where he ran for over 300 yards and had over 500 yards of total offense. A game, unfortunately, they lost, but a game that Joel Klatt and others have said it might be the single greatest individual performance they'd ever seen. Tavon Austin, the former All-American, because of his ability to return kicks and punts, had multiple kick and punt return touchdowns in his career. We all remember how electrifying he was with the ball in his hands. He could make people miss in a phone booth was a popular phrase you heard a lot of people say about him. His ability to stop and start, and his ability to make cuts, not to mention his straightaway speed where he ran like a 4.340 or sub 4.340 maybe. He won the fastest 40s ever at the NFL Combine. Absolute human highlight reel, Tavon Austin. For the first time, is on the Hall of Fame, College Football Hall of Fame ballot. So kudos to him. It'll probably be early 2027 before we find out who actually makes the Hall of Fame and if he gets voted in. This being his first time on the ballot, it's probably a crapshoot. He may or may not get voted in. Last year, Steve Slayton got voted in. This year, it's Tavon Austin's turn to try to get voted in. Now, the other one is probably not as well known, but does deserve being talked about, does deserve mention, and that's Jim Carlin. Jim Carlin was the head football coach at West Virginia from 1966 to 1969. So for 4 seasons. His overall record was 25-13-1 at West Virginia, and he has one of West Virginia's 6 10-win seasons in their history. In 1969, he had a 10-win season and led West Virginia to the Peach Bowl, where they defeated the South Carolina Gamecocks in said Peach Bowl. But when you look at the course of Jim Carlin over his whole career, which is what he's really going in the Hall of Fame for, he coached for 16 seasons overall, the 4 at West Virginia, plus he coached at Texas Tech, and he finished his career at South Carolina. His overall record was 107, 69, and 6. Had 8 bowl appearances in his career. So great career for Jim Carlin. He has actually been on the ballot before and has yet to get voted in, but he remains on the ballot this year. And as a little side nugget, not really West Virginia related, but this is the first year that Mike Leach, former late great Mike Leach, that we all know and loved, is appearing on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot for the first time. And were it not for a rule change that occurred last year, Mike Leach wouldn't even be eligible for the Hall of Fame. After his passing, there was a lot of talk about whether or not he was a Hall of Famer. Well, at that time, the threshold, the coach had to have won at least 60% of their games over the course of their career. Well, Mike Leach had won like 59.6% or something like that, just under that 60% threshold. I mean, he could have won one more game probably and been in. That's how close he was. But unfortunately, because of his sudden passing, he didn't get a chance to coach anymore. And it was almost unanimous across college sports, among media, podcasters, myself included, who thought Mike Leach was a Hall of Fame worthy coach. And because of that, they changed the threshold from 60% to 59.5%. So I don't think there's any argument that they changed that rule because of Mike Leach. So you might as well call it the Mike Leach rule. But I'm pretty confident Mike Leach will get in on the first ballot. It's unfortunate he won't be around to see it, but I do think he'll get in, and he should. He deserves it. The impact he made on the game, not only from his football coaching ability and his X's and O's, and the heights he was able to take Texas Tech to for the first time in their history, and he won everywhere he went, whether it was Texas Tech, whether it was Washington State, even at Mississippi State he was winning in the SEC. But Mike Leach's personality was also very well known throughout college football, and he was just a very well-respected, well-loved, and well-liked individual, and he deserves to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. But you let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think Tavon gets in on the first ballot? Do you think Jim Carlin deserves to be in? And what do you think about Mike Leach? And by the way, I did a video, not long after Leach's passing. Well, I don't know the timing of it, but nonetheless, it was after Leach's passing, where I talked about Coach Rich Rodriguez and how his career was a lot similar to Mike Leach's, and why I thought, at least up until last season, before a 4-8 season, I think Rich Rodriguez, you could argue, had a Hall of Fame worthy career, and it's possible he still may, depending on how many games he wins from here on out. But I did a video on that, and I will leave a link to it at the end. As a matter of fact, if you want, you can watch it right now. There's the link. God bless you. Q Country Roads.